NFL free agency kicks off in 3 days on Wednesday, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So here is what you guys need to know about the latest news and rumors around the New England Patriots and who they're going to be trying to acquire to add on to their roster. There are several different positions of needs on offense and on defense. So the Patriots with $130 million in cap space better be signing some checks this upcoming week. So we're going to break that down here on Patriots Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Allie Barefoot. If you guys are excited for 2025 NFL free agency, go on ahead, hit that like button for me. If you guys aren't excited, you should be. The Patriots really need to get better and finally have the money. They've got everything lining up for this free agency to be the Patriots. So go on ahead and hit that like button for me. Here's what you guys should know heading into this week is that while free agency does start on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, legal tampering period does start tomorrow on Monday, 48 hours prior to free agency kicking off. Now, what is that legal tampering period? Basically, teams that are probably expected to not re-sign their free agent or anything like that. Let's say, for example, if a player is already playing on a current team, he can now speak with the Patriots about possibly signing with ours. And we do have $127 million in cap space, so we can sign numerous players. We should sign numerous players and make a lot of roster moves this upcoming week. Now, the Patriots have already started on re-signing and waiving a few players. They did sign the tender rights to linebacker Christian Elliss. So basically, as of right now, Elliss is on the Patriots roster, but if there is going to be some kind of draft switch or maybe another team is going to offer more money than Christian Elliss is going to offer, then the Patriots can work out a deal. However, they did re-sign cornerback Alex Austin, which I absolutely love this move by Alex Austin by the Patriots. I think he's a great compliment to Christian Gonzalez in the backfield, and they have allowed Lester Cotton to open the market. They are not going to sign his tender rights, and they're just going to let him see what else is out there for his future in the NFL. But that's good news because the Patriots do need to bulk up their linebacker room. They also need to bulk up their cornerback position and the offensive line, wide receiver, and the edge. There are a lot of big names hitting the free agency market every single day. So while I am recording this video right now, it is Friday, March 7th. So if anything does change or you see a name on this video that has now re-signed with their team or no longer available, just know I did pre-record this. But this is what we know as of Friday, March 7th, heading in to the NFL free agency. Let's go ahead and kick it off here with the number one target on my radar at offensive tackle. It's going to be Ronnie Stanley. It's not just my top target, it is the Patriots' top target. They are expected to make a huge splash with a huge offer to Stanley, and I could see this happening in that tampering period. I think he'd be a great addition at left tackle to protect Drake May's blind side. If it's not going to be Stanley, I do think Mekhi Becton would be another good attribute to the offensive line, which is bar none one of the worst in the NFL right now. Coming over from the Jets, I think it'd be a little bit spicy. Knowing we have a rival with the Jets, I think if Becton really wants to make a splash, he could sign with the Patriots and know he can get a starting job at that moment. I also do really like Cam Robinson, and if Stanley's not available, I think Robinson would probably be the best bet at your left tackle position for the Jaguars. He had phenomenal pass protection, great run blocking, but when he played for the Vikings, didn't really live up to the hype as much as I wanted him to, but we know Christian Darrisaw is coming back. They're not going to need Cam Robinson, so that is a name you should look out for. If he doesn't sign with the Minnesota Vikings again, I think the Patriots would be a shoo-in to grab somebody like Robinson. But what about Patrick McAtari? We really haven't talked about any other Raven except for Ronnie Stanley, and I do think Patrick is a little bit more of an unsung hero to this free agency market. He doesn't have as great of skills as Stanley, but still his PFF grades are probably the best the Patriots would have seen in the 2024 season. So I do think that if it doesn't work out with the number one option for Baltimore, why not try and sign Patrick? But another position as well, not just tackle, that we have to look at is guard, because while you have Mike Onwenu at your right guard position, the left guard is still a big fat question mark, and I think Dylan Radins would be a really good option because he's playing for the Tennessee Titans. He's worked with Mike Vrabel, so maybe it'd be another shoo-in to have that conversation of, look, Didn't work out in Tennessee. Would you possibly want to come play for me again now as I'm the new head coach for the Patriots? And you can't just hone in on that left tackle position. Patriots could sign possibly another center. They need to sign another guard as well. So if I'm looking at that list 5, I am going to say my first option is obviously going to be Ronnie Stanley, but my second option to sign in free agency, which they could sign both, would be Dillon Radunz. I think that guard position is a really sneaky fix that the Patriots need to pay attention to. We've been so focused on that left tackle, but I think Dillon Radunz would be really good at the left guard. So my first question for you guys here is, which offensive lineman should the Patriots sign? Let me know in the comment section down below. If I didn't list them, go on ahead, fill it in the comment section down below. Another position of need is going to be the wide receivers. Obviously, Chris Godwin is my number one target. Chris Godwin is reportedly still possibly in the mix to re-sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but Mike Giardi did have the latest update here on March 7th saying, per league sources, Godwin will be incredibly sought after, assuming he gets to free agency. Patriots expected to be the driver there. It's going to cost more money than you would have thought. Think in excess of $25 million rather than a $20 million player. Despite the season-ending injury, I actually do think that because of that season-ending injury, that may allow him to hit the free agency market. If he had a stellar year and what he was on track to have last year, then the Buccaneers would probably be more enticed to sign him back. So I do think this does work out in our favor. If it's not going to be Chris Godwin, I love Davante Adams for the New England Patriots. I know that he's coming off a year with Aaron Rodgers, didn't reach that 1,000 yards with the Jets, but as a whole, Raiders and Jets, he did accumulate 1,000 yards. I think this is just going to be a consistent veteran that's going to help Drake May. He tallies over 85 receptions a year. I mean, it's going to be a good duo. Once again, if not Davante Adams, what about Joshua Palmer? I think that's a really sneaky name you have got to keep an eye out for the Patriots heading into this free agency. Palmer's got the speed. He can be that deep threat, which we don't really have in the Patriots wide receiver core just yet, and he's young. The Patriots can still kind of try and make the duo that they want instead of grabbing somebody like Davante Adams, and that way you're going to have somebody that already is going to have his type of playing style and trying to match it with Drake May's. Same thing here with Darius Slayton, the only bright spot in a struggling Giants offense the last couple of years. Darius Slayton, he has the speed as well of a Joshua Palmer, but he's never really had a great pass protection, and he's never really had a great quarterback. I'd be more intrigued to see what his ceiling would be with Drake May and supposedly this great offensive line the Patriots are going to try and create. Last but not least, DeAndre Hopkins. We haven't talked a lot about Hopkins, but he does have experience with Mike Vrabel. They both played and coached for Tennessee at the same time. He's coming off a Super Bowl appearance with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, and DeAndre Hopkins may just be another guy like Adams of, you're going to have a veteran, just help grow the wide receiver core, teach the young guys, and maybe sign them to a 1 or 2 year deal. My first option is obviously going to be Chris Godwin, but surprise, surprise, my second option is going to be Davante Adams. I really like the thought of having a receiver that is going to tally over 80 receptions in a season. That's something the Patriots didn't have. And if he can even get close to 1,000, that's going to be about 400 yards more than Demario Douglas, who was our top wide receiver this last season. Keep in mind with the wide receiver position, though, it doesn't have to be just free agency. The latest report coming out here from the Pat McAfee show is that everybody in the league thinks that DK Metcalf is going to New England. They have all the money and they need a weapon. So if we do not sign our top targets in free agency, there is always a capability of getting a trade. I personally think they should add both trade and in free agency to bulk up that wide receiver core, but I'll leave that with you guys. Should the Patriots sign and trade for a top wide receiver, type B for both or type P for pass? You just want free agency, you just want to go all in for a guy like A.J. Brown or DK Metcalf. I think why not both? Grab a guy like a Darius Slayton, but also trade for a DK Metcalf. That's instantly an improvement for your wide receiver core. Talking now about edge rushers, a very sneaky position for the Patriots they need to improve at. Keion White really didn't push the needle for me, but maybe if he had some help, maybe a Malcolm Kuntz from the Las Vegas Raiders, unfortunately did deal with that injury last year, so maybe this will allow him to try and seek for a new position, try and seek for a new team, and I think he could pair up really well with a guy like Keion White. Chase Young, same thing. I think he's in that same boat of trying to find his identity with a new franchise. Washington really wanted him to be that it guy on defense, and unfortunately it just fizzled out because Washington was dealing with a lot of issues on offense and on defense. Then he went to the Saints and didn't really seem like that was the area for him to gain that name and that reputation. Maybe Chase Young can come here and be our Matthew Judon. All the Patriots fans will know him. He'll increase the defensive production. He'll work with Terrell Williams, and maybe we can sign him and rebuild him in his name in New England. Joey Bosa is a new name here on the market, recently cut from the Chargers. Obviously not as great as his brother, but the only concern I have with Joey Bosa is never really playing more than 10 games. If we can get a healthy Joey Bosa and he's down for 17 games, and I think this would be an absolute steal. I think with the Patriots defense as they're struggling, I think he'd be a bright spot in an unfortunate defensive scheme right now, but maybe even working with a guy like Terrell Williams can bring out the most from this Chargers defender. Another player, Darrell Taylor. Haven't really talked a lot about Darrell Taylor here from the Chicago Bears, but we do know that they're also trying to restructure right now. If you can fit in a guy like Taylor with Keion White, I do believe that that pass rush is going to get a lot better. And then last but not least, when you are talking about edge free agents, you look to Brandon Graham. Same thing that I can talk about with the Chiefs players. He recently played and won for a Super Bowl contender, and the Eagles had one of the best defenses in the league. If he can even bring over a sliver of what he was able to produce for the Eagles in 2024, I think the Patriots could absolutely get a steal in free agency. My first option for the Patriots is going to be try and sign Malcolm Kuntz. If not, I think rebuilding Chase Young's reputation could be really good for him. And I think that he does still have a lot of talent left to play, but he's just struggling to find a system that works for him. And I do think it could be Terrell Williams and the New England Patriots. Let's take a step back here in that 3-4 front. Let's look at the linebacker free agent targets. Dre Greenlaw is a player we really haven't spent a lot of time on. I think this would really help with stopping the run. And a guy like San Francisco 49ers, another great defense that we have played, unfortunately, this last season. I think the Patriots struggled to stop the run last year, and they struggled to get to the quarterback. Dre Greenlaw would definitely change that. If not, Nick Bolton. Same thing with kind of a Chase Young. I just don't think anybody's really taking a huge chance on Nick Bolton here so far, but recently playing for the Kansas City Chiefs, coming off a Super Bowl appearance, could be another big name and a good defensive player we can add and just add to that depth chart as well. You got Devin Bush in there coming in from Cleveland, obviously worked this last year with Mike Vrabel as he did work in the front office of the Browns franchise, so he knows a little bit about Devin Bush. Same thing. Patriots defense, multiple players, multiple positions available for a starting spot, and I think this would be a really good training camp type of player that we can see come to fruition. Jamie Sherwood from the New York Jets as a linebacker. We know him because he was lethal against Drake May this last season. And I think if you can bring that from New York all the way to New England, a couple hundred miles, then maybe we can have that working on our favor because he absolutely demolished us when we played the Jets in 2024. And last but not least, Robert Spillane, another guy from Las Vegas, struggling to find his identity, could possibly make a splash for us here in New England. My number one option here is going to be Greenlaw. I think he's one of the best linebacker options in free agency right now. And the second option would be Bush. Because I do think he's already known Vrabel, it's going to be a little bit easier for him to try and fit in with this system under a new head coach. My question for you guys here is, which position should the Patriots sign first? Line, offensive line, wide receiver, linebacker, cornerback, running backs, numerous different positions. You guys go on ahead and let me know which position they should sign first in 2025 NFL free agency. And be sure to snag this great deal while it lasts. Use my link, chatsports.com/New England T. I found this great deal, and I wanted to share it with you guys because I don't buy anything full price, so I don't want you guys to buy anything full price. And we're talking about free agency because the NFL season is going to be here before you guys know it, and baseball season does start later this month, so if you guys need a nice t-shirt to wear to Fenway, then go on ahead and rep the Patriots. I promise it's a great conversation starter up there in New England. You can get it in white, blue, or red, but most importantly, you can get it for 50% off. $19.99 is the total price of this t-shirt. Go on ahead and check it out. I'm going to put this link in the comment section under the video, chatsports.com/New England T. Click the link. It's going to take you right there, and you guys can snag this awesome deal. Now the fun part. Who's going to be paired with Christian Gonzalez? DJ Reed is obviously the top prospect for the Patriots, and he's a top prospect for me as well. Coming in from the New York Jets, I think that this would be a really good veteran to play alongside a younger Christian Gonzalez, but the only issue we've had with playing guys next to Gonzo is how do they compare? Because I don't want that drop of a talent playing next to Gonzo, who's an all-pro. I think DJ Reed would be a great fit in the secondary. If not, Bryon Murphy Jr. is a name you need to get familiar with. It looks like the Patriots are really, really high on Murphy coming out of Minnesota, and I see why. And the latest report coming out of here from Jordan Schultz lets us know that it looks like Minnesota does want Murphy back, but it's poised to hit the open market on Monday when the legal tampering period begins. He's anticipated to have a strong market as well, so we're going to have to be having that bidding war for a guy like Murphy. The 27-year-old is coming off a Pro Bowl season. You put a Pro Bowl with an All-Pro, you get a lockdown secondary. I'm just saying. He has totaled 9 interceptions over the last 2 years. That's all you guys need to know. He's a headhunter. And that's the difference between him and DJ Reed, is that DJ Reed is really good at pass breakups, really good at man coverage, but Bryon Murphy is the one that really makes the game-changing plays. Charvarius Ward is another player that Andrew Callahan and Doug Keed said be on the lookout for. They do think that Ward is going to be a guy the Patriots are going to call for, and I think Ward will be another good fit. Right now, I do still list Bryon Murphy Jr. as my number one to pair with Gonzo, but Ward is definitely a very close second. Carlton Davis is right there with a DJ Reed type of talent. Played for Detroit this last season, but he did get injured. Carlton, definitely more of a veteran, would be able to provide that presence for Christian Gonzalez, maybe even help out the secondary with Kyle Duggar and Jabril Peppers, who were both captains for us this last year. So a good locker room guy. I think it would just boost our secondary overall. Nate Hobbs is actually the complete opposite. He's the youngest cornerback prospect that I do have here on this list, and I think that it would be a good attribute to Gonzo to kind of craft his skills to fit Christian Gonzalez is in the backfield and maybe create the duo that you want rather than bring in a DJ Reed or a Carlton Davis and you know who you're going to get and try to base it off of them. But overall, I think Nate Hobbs would probably be one of my least options out of these 5 players. My number one option is going to be Charvarius Ward, or it's going to be Bryon Murphy Jr. And as always, I will be completely satisfied if we do end up signing DJ Reed in free agency. A lot of information to take in there, but just want to make sure you guys are up to speed with what is about to happen this week. Several names the Patriots are looking at. They have several opportunities to boost their roster, and I want you guys to be a part of every step. So go on ahead and do one thing for me. Hit that sub button.